Let's take a look at the how and why of adding knowledge into your Copilot. This video is part of my Copilot Studio Essential series where we cover all of the core skills in under 10 minutes. Knowledge is one of the highest value things that you can do creating a Copilot. This is about saying, let's put your organizational data into the mind of this Copilot. So rather than it being your general experience where it just knows everything that's out on the internet, you give it those guardrails and you're giving it that data. Now, that could be your internal information. Imagine all of the stuff that your staff are trying to refer to, policies and documents and things that they have to scroll through things. A Copilot can just help you find the right answer. And you can also use this for customer-facing Copilots where there's information that maybe there's an easier way for them to find it than scrolling your website or something that you haven't been able to make publicly available before. So let's take a look at the options for the different kinds of knowledge that you can work with here. You've got your Copilot here that is already set up from the initial run through, and you'll find here there's a tab that's called knowledge. So when you go in there, this is where we can work, and you've got options to add public websites, SharePoint sites, and Dataverse, as well as uploading documents. So let's look at each one of these in turn. First off, we've got public website. So this allows you to just create something that has got the link to the website and you're good to go, but there's a trick here that's going to give you a much better performance. Let's come in and have a look at a website here, which we're going to add into our healthy living Copilot, which is about the pollen forecast in the area where I live. So we can put that public website link in there and click add. Now this part, don't skip over this. This is really important. The description here allows the Copilot to understand what it is. So you'll just get a very generic type of description to start with, but we want to say provides information about the pollen count and forecast in Melbourne, something like that. This is actually going to make sure that when the user types a question in, the Copilot understands. You can give this multiple sources of knowledge and it will actually understand then which sources of knowledge do what and give it a better chance of pointing to the right thing. If you've actually come through the Copilot experience where you answer the questions to build to start with and you put a public website in, you'll find you already have one in there where it comes through with the knowledge name as just the website you put in and the knowledge description is blank because you didn't fill that out as part of it. So it allows it. But if you come here and want to edit this, let's give it a more sensible name. And then you can put a description in here that is something that is more representative of what's going on with that. This website provides information about healthy living and health conditions. I've described the other one as providing a pollen forecast. You can see already I'm giving it that information so that it knows where to go and what to do. Back to our main knowledge menu here. The other thing that you can do here is to upload files. So this Copilot that I'm working with right now is a public facing one. I'm connecting it to public facing websites. The other thing I can do with a public facing one is to add in a file. So I have got a PDF file here, which is the Australian Dietary Guidelines that talks about standard food serves. So what I'm going to do is drag and drop that in. And so same experience. Here's the PDF. Here's the name of it, the description. This provides information about the Australian Dietary Guidelines, including standard food servings. And we add that one in there as well. Now that will sit in progress for a while and that can take a couple of minutes to upload. So let's switch across to one that has been created earlier where that's already been indexed. So once you upload that document, it actually indexes it in Dataverse underneath so that the Copilot can find information. If I ask it what is a standard serve of bread, it will understand that the data source that it needs to refer to is the one that talks about those standard serving sizes, and it comes back with those references. When you've uploaded a document, it doesn't actually link to the document. The document's there. The user will find that they will get a snippet from that document, whereas if I ask it, how do I manage fatigue, which is something from the website, it will actually provide a response that is the website link. So with all of these knowledge sources, it's not doing a search and retrieve, it's doing a search, It's understanding and finding the answer, and then it's using AI to generate a response. The response will not be exactly the same every time. This is something that is really, really good to work with unstructured chunks of text. Please do not use this for something where you need to say, go find a specific data point. For that, you want to use actions. I've got another video on that here if you want to learn more about that. So other types of knowledge that you can add. Fairly typical scenario here. I've got a SharePoint site with all of these policy documents. And what we can do is come in and say, let's add knowledge in here. And we want to add a SharePoint site. And what you need to do is just put in the URL of the SharePoint site, paste that in, and click add, and again add that information about what that knowledge source is doing. We'll leave this one and have a look at one that I've prepared earlier here, which has already got that site in it and that's been indexed. That allows the user to do things like, what parental leave can I take? So they can ask questions and get information from those documents. SharePoint is an internal authenticated knowledge source. This knowledge source is only going to work if you have a use case where you are actually publishing that Copilot to Teams or to an internal website or to a channel where the users need to log in and authenticate, and they will only have access to the SharePoint information that they already have access to. So this is not something you can use for a public Copilot. If you need to provide documents for a public Copilot, then you need to use the option that we looked at earlier with uploading documents. This one will actually allow the person to open the file because they do have access to those files on SharePoint, and you can see there that we've got the leave policy that comes through. We can also create Copilots that are grounded in Dataverse. So that's at the heart of the Power Platform. Again, this is for an internal scenario where people are authenticated. So if we come in here to knowledge, you'll see that we can add Dataverse. Now, this one, I've got a lot more options here. I'll come back to why that is in a minute. We click on Dataverse and you can choose the tables that you want. So I've got a grants management system in here. So I can come in here and start typing the name of the table. I've got grant applications, and then it gives me a preview of what that table data looks like to make sure it's fine. You can add multiple tables in here. And again, you want to be able to give this a knowledge description. So this provides information about funding and grant applications using other language that is used here. So for instance, grant applications is the name of the table, but funding is the way that we refer to it. And then you can actually go through and create synonyms and a glossary in here. So let's say we come in here and we want to say that the application status might also be called the funding status. And so make sure you can come in here and put in that language of the everyday users to give it a better chance. And you can also add descriptions for each of those columns. So if you do the work here to make sure that you are taking database language and turning it into user language with these descriptions and synonyms, you'll end up with a much better result. Let's leave that one and have a look at the one we've prepared earlier. This is connected to this Dataverse table. So you can use that to ask very specific questions about your data. For instance, now what grant applications were submitted in February 2024, and it's able to use all of that information that you've just put in there and done that. Now, why did I have more knowledge options here than I was showing you on the earlier screens? I'm working in a different environment here. This is a Power Platform concept. When I was working with my human resources example and my healthy living example, I was in the default environment, so I just have access to those public data sources and SharePoint and Dataverse in there. Whereas when I come in here and switch that across to a different environment, this one is a development environment. This is the environment where I've actually got that Dataverse table, but I've got other things going on in that environment. I've got a premium environment there where I can now start to connect up to all of those other enterprise data sources, which is more than we can cover in a short video here. Once you've got your knowledge in there though, it's not all generative AI. The next thing you're going to want to do is create topics to control the flow of the conversation. I'll see you in the next video to learn about that.